this is my big sister Stacey, and this is Sister Social Call.
We are two sisters talking about everything that sisters talk about. Welcome to our lives. Well, good evening, Sissy. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How about you, sis?
Yeah, it's good. We want to welcome all of our listeners back to Sister Social Call and say a special hello to all of our new listeners.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sister Social Call. Thanks for tuning in.
Chrissy and I have been at this podcast business for 42 weeks already. Almost a whole year.
That's so crazy.
I know. This is the 42nd episode. And we've definitely shared with you some of our interests like gardening and cooking. But tonight we thought we would share some of our other things that we do outside of work. I joked last week that Chrissy has taken all of the good hobbies, and she did admit that she actually feels like she has done them all. So let's get into what's been keeping us busy when we aren't working. One of the big hobbies that you do, Sissy, that I want to bring to our listeners' attention is your watercolor painting. I think your clients and obviously your family and friends know of your exceptional watercolor painting, but why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about this hobby that you have?
Oh boy, where do I start with this? I'm a self-taught watercolor painter. I don't know if I call myself an artist, but I guess, sure, I'm an artist of many things. I have always been inspired by my grandma, my Granny Dot. She was a painter. She was a talented, very artistic woman, and I learned so much from her. She did oil, acrylic, and then she also went into this phase of her life where she made porcelain dolls and she painted their bodies, their faces, everything. So Granny was an extremely talented painter, beyond what I think people really gave her credit for, to be honest. And I was just always very inspired by her. I am a very creative person. I mean, I do hair for a living. I paint all day, every day. I just paint people's hair.
Truly, I never thought of it that way.
I'm so fortunate that I'm able to make a living creating. And so I went to university for 2 years. The goal was to work towards my Bachelor of Fine Arts with a major in sculpture and a minor in painting, but I dropped out. After 2 years of school, I hated university. It was not my jam. I should have went to an art school is what I should have went to. A school that was specific for that. But anyways, doesn't matter. In hindsight, and honestly, the world is amazing. You can learn anything. So essentially, I'm a self-taught watercolor painter, and I've taken 2 watercolor classes in my life. Both of them out here in Regina Beach at the Last Mountain Lake Cultural Center. Plug to that place. They offer amazing classes at the Cultural Center. We are so fortunate to have a very large community of talented artists out here, and we have this entire center dedicated to that. And it also it's called the L.C. Shirley Gallery, has the library in it. There's art studios, there's pottery studios. It's incredible. For our population, we are so fortunate to have this space. Anyway, so I've taken 2 classes there. One of them, it was taught by the one and only Greg LeBlanc, and it was phenomenal. And he's no longer with us. He has passed away, but he taught a watercolor landscape class. He taught us so many techniques, and I'm not a big fan of watercolor landscape painting, but the techniques that we learned and the painting that we did was incredible. It was so awesome. It was amazing. And he taught us so many great things. He was such a great teacher of art, as I'm sure anybody that's ever taken a class from him would say the same thing. So anyways, that was my very first time dabbling in watercolor paint. That was probably in 1999, because I never even touched watercolor paint in university. So that was that class with Greg LeBlanc. And that tied me over until, I don't know, I pretty much didn't touch watercolor again until I took a bamboo paint class. Sandra Topinka, who is another incredible artist who lives out here, she was the instructor for that class, and I love her. She's a fabulous human being. And so I took this bamboo painting class with her. So it's on this paper, special paper And then you actually use bamboo paint brushes. They're made out of bamboo. And that was a whole other way of learning to paint. And I credit what that class taught me at that time to how I paint now, because I paint by feel more so than technically. I don't paint technically. So those two classes are the only ones I've ever taken. And then I have just essentially taught myself how to paint with watercolor. And then, of course, I have watched YouTube videos. I follow a lot of artists. I get inspiration from creative people, and I just go for it. It's very relaxing for me and is very therapeutic for me. And I love the beautiful flow of watercolor paints. So I find I painted with acrylic. That's how I started. And acrylic is a really cool paint medium to use. It's fast drying, but I love how soft and beautiful the watercolors are. And I love how you can layer them and create depth and dimension and detail with layering the watercolor paints. And I just found them to be so beautiful. So consequently, I have been doing a lot of painting. I kind of made it something that I just really wanted to stick with over the last couple of years, just really hone in on my technique a little bit more. So I've worked really hard at painting watercolors probably at least once a week for the last, 3 years? Three, maybe? I don't know. It's been a long time. My subject matter that I love to paint the most is floral watercolor paintings. Loosely painted. I also use ink. Like I love to use watercolor and then do detail with micron archival ink pens, and I use metallic ink in some of them. So yeah, that's pretty much the scoop on that. I absolutely love it. I'm obsessed with it. If I've had a long week, I love picking up a paintbrush, and I love starting a painting and not really having a clue where it's going and just seeing what happens at the end of it. So I just literally paint because it fills my heart with joy. And so that takes me to the fact that around Christmas time last year, so probably close to this time, I started a YouTube channel called Blooms and Brushstrokes because I put out a survey asking people. So many people are like, Krista, you need to teach me how to paint. Krista, I want to learn how to paint. Da 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 da. So I chose to do a YouTube channel called Blooms and Brushstrokes. And I pretty much just go on there and do tutorials of paintings, and I do basic stuff. So anybody and everybody can get in there and paint and just follow along and have fun and create something that looks beautiful at the end without it being super technical and super intimidating. I'm almost at 900 subscribers, which is great. My goal for before the summer was to get to 1,000, but then my life blew up and I wasn't able to really stay on top of the content. So I'm back at her now. I posted 3 videos recently and I'm just trying to get back in the groove of it. But yep, so that's what I like to do in my spare time when I'm not baking bread or I don't know. I do everything. Walking. I don't know. I do a million things. So as Stacey said, I've got all the good hobbies, but I can't sit idle, so I just have to keep on doing stuff.
Here's a question about your YouTube channel. Do you feel like your YouTube videos is an extension of your art or creativity? Or do you feel that it is more just a mechanism for you to teach?
Yeah, I feel having a YouTube channel is another form of creativity for sure. I mean, I'm very green at that too. I'm just kind of learning as I go on how to edit videos, the best way to do them. It is an extension of what I'm doing for sure, but I also find enjoyment out of learning something I don't know anything about. And it's creative. I could be more creative in my videos, and I hope now that I have more time on my hands, that I'm not, back and forth to the farm all the time. I hope now I can put a little bit more time and energy into the creative process in my videos. But again, it's hard. I have a full-time job. I mean, I watch some YouTube creators, artists, and that is their full-time job, is creating art and doing YouTube. So their videos are incredibly unreal, but that is their full-time job. Well, I have a full-time job. This is just my little hobby. And this is just how I'm sharing my gift with other people in hopes that other people can find their gift as well.
Beautiful.
Thanks, sis. Anyways, yeah. So that's pretty much it for the watercolor. Honestly, if anybody ever has any questions, you're inspired to get into painting, I'm all here for it. You can find Blooms and Brushstrokes on YouTube. I also have an Instagram page, which I need to get better at posting stuff on. But yeah, it's Blooms and Brushstrokes. And yes, reach out to me. My best advice to you guys is just go get some paint and get going at it. Get some paint, get some paper, a couple brushes. Nothing fancy. That's what I tell everybody on all my channels. Just like get started. That's the theme for everything in life. Just do it.
I was just going to say, Jesse Lipscomb, right? Like that was his keynote speech at Pod Summit. It goes right back to that. Just
start. You don't need to. And I think that is what people do in life. You talk yourself out of it. You plan too much. You overplan. You're overthinking the supplies that you need for watercolor painting. Just go do it and start just like dabbling in it. I know I got Stacey a little set of paints and paintbrushes and some paper a few years ago.
Yeah. And I have grabbed it a couple times and have painted.
I didn't buy you super expensive stuff. I just got you kind of beginner stuff because I was like, well, what if she doesn't even like it? You know, if she doesn't even find joy in this. So just get you some beginner stuff and go for it. I honestly think everybody should try some type of art form in their lifetime. Everybody says, oh, I'm not creative, but no, you just don't put the time into it or you don't try.
Yeah, I think it's kind of in our DNA. It's how we have communicated since the beginning of time.
100%. Anyway, sis, what about you? Let's talk about what you have for hobbies or creative things you like to do. Tell me, tell us, I know, but tell the listeners.
Yeah, I was really thinking about this because I don't feel like I have hobbies like you. I love to cook, but that serves a purpose. And I love to puzzle, but like don't have a hobby for the sake of exploration of creativity. I don't feel like I have that right now in my life. This goes back to the conversation I had with my therapist in our last meeting. And one of the questions she asked is like, what's rumbling under the surface? What's there? And it's something that I've contemplated for the past couple of years about like, I really want to bring creativity into my life. Because I really do enjoy, I for sure enjoy crafting. I like going to a class and having a product at the end of it. I absolutely loved our fused glass class that we went to when I was back in Regina. And I used to do stamping with Stampin' Up, and I'd have go to a class and come home with 5 cards at the end of it.
I love that. I love the Stampin' Up. Our cousin Lori does that. That is a good one.
It is a good one. And then, like I've had just random drop-in classes, art classes, even paint nights. I really enjoy those. Anyways, so it is definitely something I've been contemplating, and I'll come back to that in a couple of minutes about my thinking about that in the future. But one of the things that we have been doing is this podcast. It provides some of the creativity that I feel like I'm lacking in my life, but it's not tactile, I guess, because it's all on the computer. It's just me sitting hours. We record on a computer in software and it's editing. There is creative ways to do the podcast, or edit the podcast. I'll throw in some music or a bleep and I'm sure there's lots more things I could be doing, but it's not tactile, but it has provided some of the creativity that I feel like I am looking for in life to fill that a little bit. Last year, Kimmy and I, we went to I think it's the Pacific Northwest Fiber Festival or something like that down in Washington State. We just wanted to have a girls' weekend. And anyways, we did a class down there. That was a nice way to spend half of a day. I haven't picked it up since then to finish the project that we'd started.
Maybe you'd be a good knitter or a crocheter.
I've tried knitting. It's not my jam.
Okay.
I don't want to crochet.
You could make sweet doilies.
It's exactly. Like, that's just not. That's exactly it. I'm like, I'm not interested in crocheting, that's for sure. Anyways, so when we were at the Fiber Festival, they had demonstration how to do wet felting. I didn't participate in the wet felting workshop, but they gave me the wool anyways. And so I have some of it here. And that is something that I actually want to. I've been watching a couple of YouTube videos about how to do some wet felting. I don't have a lot of the yarn, but I'm going to try and wet felt myself a little bowl because I like that idea.
Okay, well, so Kristen, who used to run the cultural center here, she now she now works in Cranbrook. She runs a place out there and she's a fiber artist.
Well, when we're offline, you'll have to hook us up together somehow.
Yeah, Kristen Teetart is her name. She's on my social media.
Yeah, she's on Sister Social Call. I'll have to.
Yeah, and anybody else that is interested, she's doing basically the same thing she did here. She's doing it in Cranbrook. And so they put on art classes and fiber art is one of her things. She's an artist, full on. But felting.
Yeah, hilarious
Yeah,
that it
yeah.
took the podcast for us to discuss this.
I don't know why this didn't come. I don't know. I didn't really realize that you were getting into that. This is something you never told me until this moment. So,
Well, because I'm not really saying that I'm getting into it. We went to the fiber festival and I have this yarn sitting like literally in my office. And I'm like, I got to do something with this. So I'm going to do.
okay, one thing I would love to get more into, and I think that you guys have a ceramic shop there, don't you?
We do.
I want to paint ceramics next time we're there. I'm there.
All right, let's do it, sissy.
I want to.
We have gone to the ceramic shop and have done, have painted a mug there so far. So yeah, I love it. It's nice to have that in town, and I've really enjoyed my time when I've been there. But like again, I just feel like it's like adding to the different classes I've done. I've not found a hobby, if that makes
Right.
sense.
And it has to be something I think that you can do at home, not
Yeah,
something that you have to leave your house to go do. And that is the one thing I've done pottery and I love pottery. And just I want something that I can do in my downtime when I'm at home. And so painting is that for me that it's like, or I can take it anywhere. I can pack up a little thing of paints, pack up some paper or a book and head out and I can go paint anywhere. But I like the idea that I can do it at home where with pottery, I have to go to the studio and use a wheel and all that stuff. And then there's a kiln and all that. So it's like, I get that too, where it's just like one of those things. It's like kind of a one off or a one and done. It's not something that you can really you can sustain it, but it's just not as easy if it was something that you had that you could just pull out and do at home kind of thing, right?
yeah. And so in prepping for this, and like I was saying earlier, I've been contemplating this for a couple of years. Like, how can I bring more art and creativity into my life? And I kind of felt like this was divine. But yesterday, the Emily Carr Institute was advertising about their continuing education program. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. I didn't know they had a continuing education program. I wonder if they offer classes online. And they do. And they have an introduction to painting in the winter.
Cool.
So
Cool.
I need to really think about this in the next couple weeks if this is something that I want to pursue in 2026, if I want to add this to the things to do. But I'm going to let it sit. If it's hanging out there when I'm talking to my therapist in a couple weeks, I'm just going to pull the trigger and do it. It's expensive, but um it's for my joy. It's for my joy in learning.
I know that you've tampered with a little bit of the watercolor paints, and that's all fine and dandy, but watercolor paints are hard. They are not like painting with acrylic. If you were
Mm,
going to start somewhere, acrylic might be a fun one to start with, as
mhm.
opposed to oil. Oil is lovely and it's amazing. It's a whole different process than anything I've ever done before. It's beautiful though, and you can. I mean, obviously, like Van Gogh and Salvador Dali and Monet and all were oil artists, but it's different. But acrylic paint might be a cool way for you to start.
Yeah. And so it's something I'm going to just see if it still is resonating with me in a couple weeks. And if it is, then I will move forward with it. But if it's like kind of forget about it, then it wasn't meant to be. But
What are we talking for this class? Like, drop the bomb on the dollar amount because,
it's $800 for the class and then supplies on top of it.
yeah, like that's steep when you could probably get the same. from YouTube. $800 is a lot of money, sis.
I know exactly.
You're probably one of those people that needs to commit to something like that to really get into the thick of it and commit to that.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so.
Fair enough.
And I'm not wading through hours and hours of YouTube tutorials.
Fair. Yeah, fair enough.
I was kind of doing that with the watercolors, and I just was like, I think it was overwhelmed, right? Like, it was like, oh my God, there's so many YouTube introductory to watercolor videos. Like, what is even worth my time?
That's right. Yeah, it's very true.
So we'll see if that sticks with me.
Interesting that you were on the painting program. I'm like, what about drawing?
Well, I did not like that class last year at all.
Drawing was no good.
Yeah, I
Yes.
was doing that drawing class, and it was like, that was not for me.
No. Cool.
So that's why I feel like I can just boogie into maybe into an acrylics class and see if that's something I want to spend some time doing.
Very cool. I love that. I hope you go for it. I'm rooting for you, sissy.
Anything else on your creativity horizon since you do everything?
I don't think so. I think I'm just going to stick with what I got going on and continue to, i- improve my painting skills and YouTubing skills and all that kind of stuff, and just letting everything be so here for the next little bit. I would be the best retired person of all time because I would fill my hours with so many things. And I'm disciplined. If I have a day off, I always make sure it's like you're carving out an hour for painting, you're carving out an hour for reading, you're carving out 2 hours for walking. Anyway, uh, retirement is not in my near future anytime soon. Well, let's roll into our peaks, pits, and plans. Why don't you start us off, sis?
Okay. Pits. Well, I have a cold, if you can tell in my voice, and that's been lingering now for 2 weeks. So I just would like it to fuck right off. But here I am. I'm still on strike, and it's into week 3 for us. Or for me, it's week 8 for some of my public service colleagues. So I'm not in a terrible state of affairs, but I'm ready to go back to work. Something that isn't really talked about very much, and I think I would like to share, is a little bit about strike pay. And so right now, I am making $650 a week if I go to the picket line, to our virtual picket line. This is decided by the membership. Not every union, when they're on strike, gets paid. Alberta teachers right now are not getting paid to be on strike, which is really unfortunate because they could be out for quite some time, and it's going to have some pretty impactful, some very significant financial impacts. Anyways, right now I'm making $650 a week, and this is a pit. Obviously, it's not a lot of money. It's definitely way less than what I make working, but it has actually been a really interesting peak. So it forced me to really look at our budget, which sounds terrible, but I've had to look at our budget and then look at the bills and see how they're coming out. And from everything that I've done and all the principles that Zena has taught me, things are looking fine for about at least 6 weeks. It probably would even be longer, but I don't think we'll be out that long. And in fact, the government and the union are at the bargaining table. They are in mediation, and things are progressing. And so I'm really hopeful that we'll have some good news later this week. But anyways, so why is this fun? So the one big change that I had is that, okay, I'm not putting any money into my short-term savings right now. But what I did do is I budgeted $100 for myself, like of mad money or fun bucks, for 3 of the 4 weeks in a month. So basically I've given myself a couple hundred hundy in the last 2 weeks. And so it was just fun to go and, striking's not fun, but I went and bought myself the next book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series because I read it in a week. I bought myself bubble bath. I bought myself face foundation and got a haircut. So those things are a peak. So even though things are tight, $650, a lot of money, we're doing okay. And I got to still buy myself some things that brought me joy. So yeah, so I'm feeling grateful for the values and the habits that I have in place, because I can't imagine having kids in this type of conditions right now. And I can't imagine, I have a colleague who both her and her husband are currently on strike and they live on the island. I don't know how they're paying bills. Like, oh my goodness. So I feel very fortunate for what I do have right now. So, and grateful for my job that I have. And like, there's just, even though the striking is challenging, it does make me have a lot of gratitude for a lot of things in my normal life. But anyhow, and moving on to plans. Sorry, another peek before I move away from that. So we announced our new Slow Readers Book Club book last week, which is done and dusted by Lila Sage. Chrissy came out here for Thanksgiving weekend and she brought it with her and I read it in a week. It was definitely a peak for me. And in fact, Chrissy, I was done it before she's like even halfway through it. So I'm very proud of myself for even reading it that quick.
You went to the fast reader book club on that one.
Sure did. It was really good. Anyways, so that wraps up my peaks. My plans for the week, it's just another very quiet weekend, and I'm really excited about that. I got to go get cat food and a few groceries, but that's really it. Like, it's going to be another very quiet weekend, and I need it because I got to get over this cold. It's annoying. How about you, sis? What are your peaks, pits, and plans?
Well, I have a pit, and it's a big pit.
Yes, I know this pit.
I have taken such great pride in creating a safe, welcoming environment in my hair salon. It is the one thing that I've always stood behind. I wanted every single person, myself and anybody that works there, to always feel welcome, to feel they can be themselves, to feel zero judgment, safe. I've worked so hard to create this space. It's something I'm super proud of because I have experienced the opposite in hair salons before before I was a hairstylist, and I vowed I would never have a space. Like, I would always have a space that it's like everybody comes there and is treated equally. And anyhow, I had an incident with a client on Thursday last week that rocked my world in a very negative way. So much so, I actually had to put a post on social media just reminding everybody that we will not tolerate disrespectful or abusive
Behavior
in the hair salon. And I never thought in a million years I'd ever have to do that. So that is a huge pit of mine. It really, really, it has rocked my world a bit. And for a few different reasons. One, because it hurts me an incredible amount to have that happen in my space. And to me, it felt so it was awful. But it also really triggered memories from my marriage. And so it strummed some frickin' chords, I'll tell you what. So I've been dealing with that immensely and trying to work through all that. This too shall pass.
You have created a safe salon. And this person broke that value that you have. You should be very proud of what you've created. It sounds like you are taking a negative, like how you've created safety. This person felt so safe in your space that they stepped over every boundary appropriate in your space. And that is a no bueno.
No, that's no bueno for sure. So I know what I created is something very special, and that's why I have the business that I have. It's just, yeah, it's a pit. I never thought that I'd have to cross this little bit of a bridge that I'm crossing right now. But alas, you know what? I can handle it. And I'm super thankful to all the hard work I've done over the last 2 years and working with Christine, because I was able to calmly navigate that situation and diffuse what was happening and carry on. I guess, anyways, I mean, it's still kind of lurching around a little bit, but hopefully we'll have some closure on that one here real soon. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that anymore because I'm just detaching myself from that. But peaks, well, I had some peaks this week as well. Far more peaks than pits, I'll tell you that, you guys. So my friend Kelly, she was in a powerlifting competition And so I was able to go check her out for a little bit, which is always cool to watch your friend do something that they love. I'm like her biggest cheerleader. I think it's great that she's found something. She's really into it, and I'm here for her. And she texted me just because I said, like, what time is everything at? And she's like, thank you for coming. Whatever. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't miss it. Like, I don't know. I just can't imagine if it's something that's like pretty much in my backyard. Like, why wouldn't I go support her? So I got to see her doing her bench presses because I missed the starting one, and then there was going to be a big long break till her deadlifts. But it doesn't matter. I got to go see her, and that was great. And she was rocking it. She hit a PR in her deadlifts. So proud of you, Kelly. And then after that, I went to go spend time with Mom. And I know I said I was going to go to this health and wellness expo thing, but we didn't actually end up getting there because my people meter is only so, I can only do that so much. And I felt like I was just already maxed out. But Mom and I, we went out and we just had a day together. So we went to like the new winners, but then we just like, I don't know, we just kind of tootled around doing fun things. And it was great. So that was fun. And then on Friday, my buddy T-Sack, he popped over for tea Friday night. So that was cool. Got to get a good visit in with him. And I don't know. I'm just really plowing through my kilometers, you guys, as well. So that's a peak. Plans. Oh my gosh. So I'm excited. Tomorrow, a guy that we went to high school with and an old friend.
High school? Elementary school.
Elementary school, high school. I've known him for my majority of my life. Anyways, he lives in Vancouver and he plays in a punk rock band, Molten Lava. Would it even be punk rock? I don't even hard rock band. And I said to Kelly, so Kelly and I have also gone to school together since we were in elementary school. In fact, we went to school since grade 1 together. I said, Kelly, you want to go have a blast from the past and go hang out with some of our old friends? She said, yes, I do. So we're going into Regina to go to this concert tomorrow. And I was just messaging her before we started recording the podcast. And I was like, should we go for supper? Like, doors open at 7, shows on at 8. I'm exhausted. But anyways, I'm like, let's go for supper. I don't think we need to be there for 7. Like, I think probably 8:15 is probably sufficient. I don't know, maybe a little bit earlier so we can go and visit with some of our friends. But anyways, I'm very excited because I think I'm going to crash into a lot of peeps I have not seen in a very long time. And it's just going to take me back to way back in the day when we'd go watch like shows. It was always at the Exchange. This is going to be at the Cure. I've never been there, but I think the Cure is by Vintage Vinyl in Regina, but I'll find out. And so, yeah, we're going to do supper and then go to that. And then my only other plan is that on Monday, I have to get my winter tires put on. But I think that's really it for plans. Oh, I guess a peak too. I didn't even mention this, but yesterday we had our emergence group, our women's group, and it was supposed to be online, but Christine stayed in Regina so we could do it in person. And we did a hypnosis type exercise about becoming. And I'm still dialing into that one there. But it was really good. I felt really exhausted today. But anyways, that was really great. So that's going to do it for me, you guys. I think that's going to dial in all of our peaks, bits, and plans. Looking forward to another great week, you guys.
I was going to say, well, if our listeners want to find us, they can find us Sister Social Call on Instagram. You can find Chrissy on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. You can find myself, Stacey, on Facebook or on LinkedIn. And I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week, Sissy.
Gonna wrap it up. Okay. Well, love you so much, sis.
Love you too.